Welcome to the Scientist Sage Sangha. I'm so glad you can join us tonight. We're talking about one of my favorite topics, sanctuary. And sanctuary, first of all, a little definition. Supposed to be a sacred place. That's what a sanctuary is. And sometimes you see sanctuaries in churches, and there's bird sanctuaries to keep them safe and protected. And there's nature preserves that are sanctuaries for nature. And there's also like an idea of protection. So when people were needing protection, they could go to one of these sanctuaries, and they might have been being hunted by somebody, or maybe they just were in need of a place to be, and they could go there. And so there's that protection part of it as well. And the human's protection of sanctuary is usually when there's something going on that, like in the slave trade or refugees, things like that. We need protection from other humans generally. And that's been a long-standing thing for thousands of years, providing sanctuary to humans that need it. And of course, people create their own sanctuaries. I was thinking of people on this call that have literally created sanctuaries in their homes and that sort of thing. And so those are all the kind of external material kinds of sanctuaries. But what I really want to talk about is the sanctuary inside. And I came to this topic quite early in my recovery wellness kind of journey. And I was introduced to it by a shamanic person, and they talked about building this inner sanctuary. So it wasn't that you couldn't have them outside as well, and you're creating the same kind of sacredness and safety and that kind of thing. But they emphasized that it was really important to have an inner sanctuary. And so some of the things in the email that went out talked about that. And I'm sorry, I just want to find that woman's name. That Paula Edler. And she talks a lot about time, which is really interesting. And the sanctuary idea is something that is outside of time when you're building an inner sanctuary. And it's a really lovely feeling, because when you build an inner sanctuary, you might build it with ideas of things that you've seen or actual places you've been. My personal sanctuary has, some views that I've sort of seen only in postcards or pictures, and parts that I've actually been to, like the ancient forest in Oregon, and actually a forest retreat in BC that I went to. So it has a mix like that of things that are totally imaginary, and then things that are from places I visited and things I've seen. So you can do anything you want like that with it. And when we're active gardeners, my shamanic teacher talks about shamans are gardeners of energy. And this really, gardeners of energy in our own sanctuaries. That's what we're doing here. We're taking energy and creating something, and we are just making it just exactly what we need and what we want. But you can also have it be part of something bigger. I have many places in my inner sanctuary. I have a place where there's a white mantle. And when I was having a really difficult time at one point in my life, I found a golden idol in the mud. And because there is also a hot pool near my mantle. So you don't have to make any sense. It just imagine whatever you want, but really encourage you to think of it in peaceful ways. And so if don't build a house that you have to dust in your sanctuary. It has to be something that, cleans itself. Don't be feeling that you have to have something big and grand. You just do what comes naturally and sort of what you're guided to do. Often when people start creating these inner sanctuaries, they build themselves. There is an idea that comes, and people are suddenly surprised actually by what it's going to look like. And they didn't think it was their idea. And sometimes that's actually kind of true. You might get guidance from a higher being or a higher energy, whatever you want to call it. And you might find out that you want these wide open spaces when you thought you wanted, getting away in a little cave or something to feel safe and have a sanctuary. And so it changes as you change as well. There's so many facets to it. You get to design everything. So when you enter your sanctuary, you put down all of your, what you look like, what you've achieved, where you live, all of those things are put aside, and you can create whatever you want. And without the long wait period and lots of work and lots of money that it takes in the material world, you can literally just generate this place that works for you, just every little detail, from how strong the wind blows, to the colors of the sky, to the animals and plants that are there, to structures that you want, to people that might be helpful for you. There's a very famous book called Think and Grow Rich, and he talks in there about getting a group of people together, and they gather together in imagination with all these people, and they consult each other and they help each other with ideas, particularly around business is what he was talking about, but just how to be in the world too, how to be a good person and a good person of your country, a community person. And so you can create those kinds of things, that community even within your space. And it takes so much stress off. You don't have to worry about what you look like and what you wear, because you can go like that and change what you're wearing and change what you look like. So you can create exactly the feeling you want, and you can be yourself, putting down all of those other identities that you might have out in the outside material world, and just bring in the identity that you want to have, and try it on. Try different things on. Try different. Somebody might think they would like a mountain cabin, and somebody else might like a sunny beach. So it's so unique and so different for people, and it evolves with you. I was given by my guides a Christmas tree, and it was a gift, and it was a tree of all the different kinds of trees in the world. And this was not something I could think of on my own. And when I did the meditation at Christmas time and I received this gift, it was amazing. And that still exists in my sanctuary. There's a special big old tree that actually is out of the place called Rafter 6 in Alberta. And when I see that tree in my sanctuary, it is a place where I can go curl up, because it looks like a big grandmother tree. And so there are so many things that can evolve in your sanctuary. And some of the reasons, though, and Paula talked about that kind of thing as well, that the reasons to do it is that it opens your mind in a way that nothing else can. We are built to be visionary. Just a minute. I will come back with the man's name, but he talked about that humans are born to envision things, and whether it's the people are envisioning archetypes, or they're envisioning futures for themselves, or seeing visions that appear to them. Humans have done this for the entire span of humans. And so this isn't something unusual or odd. This is something that goes on to this day. Shamans use this practice all the time. And people think, this is just my imagination. Well, somewhere imagination meets outside energy and moves together. And it really is just life force expanding and creating and suggesting and moving through us. And when we can go into those spaces and allow it to move through us, we can actually take issues into our space, and we can get advice for them, or we can just get settled and peaceful with them. I don't know about you, but sometimes I just don't want anybody to talk to me. And so I go into my inner garden And there's just this peace and space for me to maybe look at something that I'm doing that is creating something I don't like in my life without anybody else observing that. And it gives you freedom to think differently, to feel things, to take chances, and just to explore things differently about who I am and who I want to be. And those things that I might find about myself that I don't like, I can sit with and look at them differently and explore them differently without feeling that sort of danger or somebody's disapproval or control or anything like that. So it creates this spaciousness in our lives that is truly quite amazing. When we change inside us what's going on, we change outside us what's going on. And so this is not just an exercise in your spare time kind of thing, but people do this so that they have this spaciousness and they don't have to rely on everything being just the way they would like it to be in the outside world, because goodness knows, no matter how controlling we are, we can never be that way. And I was going to talk just too about things not to worry about. Things like, don't worry too much about if you don't have vision very well. You don't have to make up something from scratch. You can use a picture or a place you've been. If you have difficulty envisioning things, maybe you're going to feel them more than anything. Maybe you're going to hear them. And I really encourage people to use all their senses. So if they are walking into a place, that they feel what it feels like on their feet. Maybe they have shoes on, maybe they're walking in the grass in their bare feet. Maybe they're walking on warm sand, cool water, but to feel those things and listen to things. From the hot pool that I was in the Oregon ancient forest, I can still hear the night birds. Every time I go into that part of my sanctuary, those night birds are just as much a part of it as that warm water is. So listening, smell it, taste it. You might eat things in your sanctuary and they have no calories in there. Bonus. And you might try out things that you wouldn't have before, like try climbing. And there's some really technical science around this about athletes that use visualization to practice things and try things out. And that really happens. If we practice things in our sanctuary, we are more likely to be able to move towards them outside in the material world. So there's some science behind this too that has come around more recently, way past thousands of years that people have been doing it before. And just one sort of last sort of piece here is that it's really useful to create some boundaries. And it might be a big stand of trees, or it might be like a fence, a wooden fence, or a stone gateway. And the reason for that is then it gives you, your body and your psyche, a cue that you're coming into your space. And this is a safe space, this sanctuary, where you can relax and be safe and experiment and enjoy and maybe just relax. And so that kind of boundary, and it doesn't matter if it's a little gate. In my sanctuary of a hot pool, there was just the flimsiest of little sticks made into a gate in the actual place that I went to. And I still use that image and feel that little gate under my hand as I open, as I go into it. And that going in and out says, okay, I'm here, but it also says, okay, I'm back. So I'm not having a fantasy life that I use to escape my real life, not my real life. We'll talk about that in a minute, but my sanctuary life. I have this life out here and I'm shutting the door on the sanctuary and I'm going to my material life. And there, I need to see how my hair looks and I need to put a shirt on. I can't run around naked in the street. And so, you want to make sure you know the difference when you're in or when you're out. And the idea too, I really encourage people is to, when they come in and out, check around. See if there's someone, something, if something has changed, if you like it the way it's changed, or perhaps you don't, and you would change it back or make another adjustment. But often people find that as they start to create a more integrative experience in that place, they start experiencing some things happening with it that they are not consciously putting in. And lots of times they're really lovely things that people like, and they wouldn't have necessarily had at the front of their mind. So as you come and go, see what's going on in there as well. I think I want to stop there so that we can have a little time to do a little meditation about this, I think. And when you do this, I'm going to encourage you to just take whatever piece of it you want. Okay, so you might have something already because we've practiced this a little bit. We've done this a few times, and we talk about the garden and we talk about the entrance and walking in. So if you have that already, just go there. But think about, what would I like to have right here? What would make me feel good? What would help me feel peaceful? Or what do I want to be doing here? Is this a place where I come to get spiritual sustenance? Is this somewhere I come to feel safe? Maybe just to purely relax, to lose the tension of trying to keep up the facade of the outside world. And that's where we're going to talk about reality. A lot of societies and people see this internal sanctuary, this garden, as real, every bit as real as material reality. And when we really look at material reality, you know, people put on makeup to look different, you know, they touch up photos, and, you know, they build fancy houses to make it look good. And there's lots of things we do to make things look a certain way. So, you know, it's quite debatable about which one is the reality. So think about that too. What kind of reality do you want to create in your garden? And the idea too of who do you want in your garden? And if you have somebody there, it doesn't mean they have to stay there forever. It's not like you give them a pass forever. You might bring in a famous artist or poet or something and just get to know them within your sanctuary. Or you might have an idea of a religious kind of idol that you would like to feel and get to know. And so what we're going to do in here is just take some deep breaths, like always. And first, the most important part of this is intention and attention. And it actually helps you focus once you practice this a bit. And so when you're doing this, take a couple of deep breaths. Let your mind settle. And we're going to just see how you enter your sanctuary. Just how you enter your sanctuary. What would that be like? Do you want to walk up a hill? I have a path that I walk up that's a bit dusty, and my feet are a little covered with that dust as I walk up the path. Other people like an actual door that they put a key in and unlock it, like a garden gate walking in there. You may have an actual standing house or building. So whatever you prefer, just to allow yourself to find some entrance to your garden, to your sanctuary. And then the next most useful thing is a place to sit or lie. And you can just walk around, continue walking around. It's not necessary that you do this part. But most of us create something, some space that we can lay in or sit in and get very comfortable. And often people create beautiful views. It might be a meadow of flowers. It might be in a warm cabin looking out on a winter scene. So whatever the details, the weather, the place, the contents, just enjoy it. And then just take a moment and see if there's any person or being, like a pet or a spiritual being. Lots of people visit angels. Lots of people visit power animals. And just see how it feels to you. Lots of us really enjoy this complete solitude of this space that no one else can enter without our permission. So just let yourselves experiment a little bit with having other beings there or not, and see what you like right now. And feel too how this affects your body and your mind. And you can have intention here, or you may just be observing. Often people find that their mind gets quiet and their body gets relaxed. And don't worry if that isn't happening for you. This may take some practice to build trust in our own space. To know that this is a sanctuary that we control. Many of us have never felt that complete abandon anywhere. So it may be a feeling that takes a little while getting used to. Okay, for those people with me, feel free to continue while we close for the people that are with us on camera afterwards, watching this at another time. And I've had the grace to talk to some people who have been doing that, and I'm so grateful that this is proving useful to you. Please feel free to send information and comments, suggestions, questions. Please feel free to send them to us at scientistsage@gmail.com. And we are moving over to YouTube now, slowly but surely. So the replay of these will appear on YouTube within the week after, maybe a little before that. And then you can watch them and catch whichever pieces you might have missed or things you want to try again. So I'm going to close tonight's Sangha and go to the discussion with the people that are with us live. Thank you so much for joining us. I am with you. You are with me. Blessed be. Good night.